Hey guys, Big Jon here with another recap just for you. We had a very challenging but victorious weekend at the 3-day Texas Mile back in October. In this video, we will discuss what it took to prepare for the Texas Mile, some of the challenges we faced during the 3-day event, and my results. First, I'd like to give God all the glory for a safe weekend and for blessing us with an amazing finish. We completed a build in 3 days that would have normally taken a month. I had no idea what to expect, but we went with it anyways and showed up to the track without any prior tuning or testing. In fact, the week of the Texas Mile, I left early Wednesday morning from Kansas, making a 12.5-hour drive to London Chassis Dyno with part of my crew to pick up Judah. We didn't have much time because we had to be trackside Thursday afternoon for tech inspection and to meet up with the rest of our crew. So we immediately departed for a 17-hour drive to the Victoria Regional Airport where the Texas Mile takes place. I know what you're all thinking. Why did you wait until the last minute? Well, it's not that simple. We've been working on this build since March, not to mention all the tuners we went through trying to nail down a good tune with the factory Chrysler computer. After no success, I made an executive decision to go all in with a one-of-a-kind setup for this event. We spent a lot of time with some big-name shops to formulate the perfect power setup with a complete standalone computer. This last-minute decision was crucial to our success in October. It also put the tuning in the hands of our master mechanic, Chad Epperson, at London Chassis Dyno, eliminating any third-party tuner from holding us back. Mechanic Willie Taylor and Chad at London Chassis Dyno both worked tirelessly to wire in the new standalone Holley, as well as get the Magnuson Supercharger installed in, no joke, just 3 days. I've often been asked why I travel 12.5 hours one way for all the work done to my Hellcat. Let me answer that. Early on during my time at the track, it became very clear to me that I needed a shop that could be trackside with experience in this type of racing to even be competitive at the top level. I took the risk and Chad has earned my trust. He has produced results and continues producing results. Also, my parts specialist, Jordan Weir, earned my trust quickly with getting us the parts we need on time and by keeping his word by providing trackside support as well. Now that I've set the stage, let's fast forward to the first day of competition, which was Friday, and talk about how the weekend went. Chad wanted the first hit to be a quarter-mile pass to get a log. Remember, we had no prior tuning or testing. I wasn't really that nervous, probably more anxious than anything. I make the first hit, and Chad looked at the log, and everything was perfect and ready for a half-mile hit. At this point, I almost couldn't contain shutting down early. I kept wanting to hold the pedal down to go that full mile, but I knew I needed to stick to the plan and be patient. So I lined up again and made a half-mile hit. Once I got back, we reviewed the log and everything looked good. Now we were ready for a full mile pass. At this point, it was late Friday afternoon and the track was near shutdown for the day. I knew this was going to be the last run I would get of the day, and I had to make it count since it was the first full mile pass. I had to focus and hit my marks. Chad needed this data in order to add more timing and boost for Saturday. So here I am. I'm on the starting line, ready to make my first full mile pass of the weekend. I take off and break loose twice before being able to apply full throttle. As you can see, once I'm wide open, I bring the car back to the right and position myself right over a groove that runs the entire length of the runway. I have found this to be the smoothest line to run. Once I'm in third gear, just listening to the car, it sounded great, but it was a little sluggish just from my experience. I knew the power was dialed way back, but I'm thinking, man, am I ever going to reach the end of the mile? Well, I did, of course. I come around and I get my speed slip, 195.3. I knew Chad needed to get a safe log to look at, but I was at least hoping to get over 200 miles per hour on the first run. But it was day one, and we knew what the agenda was, getting logs and tuning the car. Saturday morning came quick, but we didn't rush to grid up. Rather, we took our time to look the data over from the previous day and adjusted the idler and changed the belt length. Chad could see that there was belt slip happening, so we wanted to try a different configuration to increase tension on the upper pulley. This was puzzling though because we had a Grip Tech upper pulley installed, which should eliminate most belt slip due to its design. We also noticed that it was chewing belts even just under idle. We knew something wasn't right even before we got to the track, but we went with it because that was what was sent to us for our application. Keep that thought. We'll come back to this in a bit. After getting the idler adjusted and the new belt on, I lined up to make my first pass on Saturday. It was faster, but not by much, 199.8 miles per hour. Chad reviewed the log and made some adjustments to the tune, but there were no changes made under the hood. I lined back up and made my final pass of the day. It was much faster, 205.1 miles per hour. This was a new personal record for Big Jon Racing. Finally, we had some results after 2 long days at the track. As I walk up to the official to get my speed slip, I still don't know what my speed was. As I read it, I'm ecstatic, so guess what? Time for a victory dance. What I didn't realize was the official found it pretty funny. Watch him laugh at me here. And here. I know, my floss needs a little work, but hey, I didn't care. It was a new personal record, and I was going to enjoy the moment. But it still was not fast enough, and we knew there were still problems with this pulley setup. In fact, after this pass, we noticed the belt had worked itself off the upper pulley by 1 rib. It's amazing it didn't rip or slide off. So we knew we were going to have to address this the following morning. The belt that we used was the only length we had with us. It is an unusual length, making it very difficult to find, and you can't just go to the parts store and get one. Normally this belt must be special ordered, and we didn't have time for that. There was only 1 more day of competition left. After we left the track and got back to the hotel, I spent a lot of time searching all over, especially the major auto parts stores in Victoria, hoping that someone would have the belt we needed in stock, just in case we broke the belt we had or we wanted a fresh belt to send it on Sunday. I checked them all, and with no success, I was about to give up. And then a thought came to my head and told me to search Houston, Texas. If anyone in Texas is going to have this length of a belt that we need, it would be a store in Houston. I hit the search button, and 1 store returned an in-stock result. My mouth almost hit the ground. My dad is part of my crew, and I'm very proud of that. He volunteered to wake up early Sunday morning and be there in Houston by the time they opened to get the belt and drive back to the track. He knew what it meant to me and made the sacrifice, driving 3 hours round trip. Sunday morning, there he was. He arrived with the belt and said the auto parts store said we were right. They were the only store to have this one belt in stock. I'm only sharing this with you because I want you to know the divine work that was going on down there. Sunday was the last day of competition, and time was running out. Before making any hits Sunday, we removed the grip tech pulley and replaced it with a regular pulley the exact same size. During the process, we broke the tensioner and replaced it with the only other one we had in the trailer. And just a side note, the replacement tensioner ended up working better than the one we broke. Go figure. After the event, I found out that the grip tech pulley was sent with the wrong offset, which explains the belt slip and why it was chewing belts. So remember that belt my dad went and got? Well, we ended up needing it, and we installed it when we made the changes to the upper pulley and the tensioner. This was it. It was all or nothing. Chad made his last revisions to the tune, and by early afternoon the car was ready. The weather had improved, and everything was aligning for that one good pass. Sitting on the starting line, it felt like the weight of the world was sitting on my shoulders. I knew this was going to be one of the last opportunities to set a record. In the back of my mind, I also knew this was going to be the hardest hitting tune of the weekend, and the launch was going to be crucial. As I ease into first gear, I start to apply full throttle. This was a pretty good launch, a little on the conservative side, but in the mile, it's more about a smooth launch than killing it off the line and spinning your tires for a quarter of a mile. Once I hit the 3/4 mile marker, I knew the car was moving as I watched the speed climb quickly from 190, 200, and then 212 just past the mile marker. Once I arrived at the time booth, you can see me get my speed slip. I looked down and 208.2 miles per hour. I had done it. This was the new world record for a blower-only Challenger Hellcat with no nitrous. But we weren't done yet. There was time for one more pass. Just 45 minutes later, I lined up for the last run of the day. Could I manage to launch the car better for a 210 plus pass? The starting line official gives me the signal. I take off more aggressively. As I go into full throttle, tires spin, and I break loose at 80 miles per hour. I didn't care. I was still going to drive it hard and hope for the best. I eased the car back over to the line I like to run. I knew I was going to need to drive second gear over 7,000 RPM to have a chance. So I shifted around 7,100 RPM from second to third. As I approached the finish line, I knew it was fast, but wasn't sure if it was faster than my previous run of 208.2. I come around quickly, and the time slip reads 208.3 miles per hour. I was shocked. I broke loose and still ran faster than my run before. Had that not happened, we would have easily been over 210 on that final run. The 2019 October Texas Mile is in the books, and Big Jon Racing holds the standing mile blower only, no nitrous Challenger Hellcat record at 208.3 miles per hour. That's only half a mile per hour off the overall record at 208.8 miles per hour, set with a 4.5 liter Whipple and a shot of nitrous. Let me tell you something. Once we get this Supercharger spinning full boost, it's going to shock the world what a Magnuson 2.65 liter Supercharger can do without nitrous. Not to mention, we will begin the weight and aerodynamic improvement program for Judah going into this winter. Not only will the car be more powerful, but it'll be more efficient. Up until this point, Judah's been running full weight front tires, wheels, brakes, and suspension system. The other things I would like to point out about mile racing is it is much different than quarter mile or even half mile racing. The quarter and half mile speeds don't reflect anything about the monster of the car we have built. There is no prep to the track, and there are no drag slicks allowed, meaning we launch 1,500 plus horsepower on street tires. The gearing is also way different. We run a 3-speed, 2.62 geared rear end. I'm crossing a half mile in second gear. Oh, and you must get that 1,500 horsepower down the track, wide open throttle for a mile without it blowing up. Let that one sink in. Guys, that wraps it up. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I also hope you've enjoyed my perspective. The anticipation and the stakes are high for next year. We are rapidly approaching the 2020 Texas Mile in March, so make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram for the latest updates. Thanks for watching. God bless you. Big Jon, over and out.